Another controversial topic we got into, and it's gaining a lot of momentum in our world as well, is nicotine. And one of
Mm,
his products actually has nicotine, very low
yep.
dose. Is that something you've played with, and how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I definitely have. I mean, based on what I know, nicotine is like one of the most studied nootropics. And to be clear, we're not talking about smoking in any form. We're not talking about vaping. They have a lot of additional chemicals that, of course, are known to be very toxic to the body. But yes, he has, is it the canteen? Is that what it's called, I believe?
Something like that. I haven't
So,
tried it. I plan on trying it, but
yeah.
it
Um,
sounded really great.
Yeah, I think, you have to be really careful because it's a very addictive substance. But I have, tried a little bit of just like maybe 1 gram or with the methylene blue with the little bit of nicotine in there. And you just got to be really careful because, of course, addictive substance. But I think, it's one of the most studied nootropics. There's also some data saying it can even be good for the brain as we age. I think that the only playing devil's advocate, I think the only thing is that you have to think about is it can be a little bit of a vasoconstrictor, so kind of constrict the blood vessels and blood flow. So you don't want to overdo it, of course, because we really need good blood flow to the brain and for skin health and just for overall cardiovascular function. But I mean, a lot of people in the wellness and like a lot of my friends, are using it to get a little edge on a podcast, and I've done that too. So. I think it's a fun place to be with all these exogenous molecules, that we can be trying to increase performance, potentially increase for longevity, improve health span. It's such an exciting time.
Anything else in that realm, things that aren't part of your daily routine, but nootropics, brain enhancers, things you'll play with
Hmm.
and that you've
Yeah.
gotten a good boost from?
Yeah. I've done some, I had, years ago, I slipped on ice and actually like bumped my head. And I felt like I had like, minor symptoms. So I did something called cerebrolysine. So that is essentially like a brain nootropic. I did a bunch of hyperbaric too. Then I had a scan and there was no remnants or any visual proof of anything actually being lingering from that. But yeah, and I've done cerebrolysine just for cognition too. So I think cerebrolysine is an interesting one. Let me think. All sorts of peptides. I've done a lot of different peptides. I've done like GHCKU for skin health. I'm getting ready to like do another couple of rounds because I'm into something. I'm working on what I'm calling my skin longevity protocol. So, I'm 34. I loved being in the sun when I was younger. I still love the sun. It's such an interesting like balance being in longevity, right? Because yes, we know that the sun ages you, but it's also so beneficial for your health. So I'm not in the camp of like avoid the sun at all costs. I'm like, let's see, I love the sun, love being in it. It makes me feel good. And then how can I help to like reverse some of the skin damage that will inevitably accumulate? So trying something like a GHGKU. I have tried deep sleep inducing peptide. That's an interesting one. I crush my sleep, so I don't really need it. But I did recently just get a deep sleep inducing peptide for my husband who's trying to improve his sleep. That could be an interesting one for people to explore. Of course, these are all prescription. So I don't take research grade peptides. I only take like prescription compounded for me peptides done in like an FDA approved facility. I have tried CJC for body composition, really enjoy that. I've done BPC for expedited healing, joints, ligaments, tendon. Actually, I broke my finger a couple months ago. I slammed it in our door. It's a massive like steel door. It's really a danger. I would replace it if we were staying here. But I healed this finger in like 2 weeks by injecting the BPC 157 right into the palm of my hand. And I was doing red light therapy on it for 15 minutes per day. And I was also doing PEMF on it. And literally a broken bone was healed in like 2 weeks. It was unbelievable. So that was really great. I have done some other interesting IV therapies. I'm not sure how accessible these are. I have done IV curcumin. So, the active compound in turmeric. So it's very anti-inflammatory. And I'm not by any means, you're just asking interesting things I've done here. So consult with your doctor, only do it if you're, prescribed it. But I have tried some interesting things, but that was an interesting IV. a lot of just custom IV. So I do a test called the Nutri-Eval. And so it actually will tell me what I'm deficient in. And then I can target supplement. So I can be like, okay, I might need more vitamin C or vitamin A or vitamin B. So it will actually tell me what I need. And I love doing IV therapies like that. I think that's super helpful. I have done exosomes. I have done something called V cells. It's a form of stem cells. I've only done any stem cells up until this point that are my own. I'm still waiting to see, the safety of other stem cells. I think there's a ton of promise in stem cells, but I've only done my own thus far. Let me think. So those have been some interesting things that I've really enjoyed. I've done an IV called olefinilia. That is kind of like extract from olive oil. So like a lot of benefits from the olive oil leaf. And you get that in an IV form, which I don't really hear many people talking about that one. So that one is kind of unique. IV paracetam, which is like a nootropic. That one is really interesting. I think that's probably most of the interesting stuff. One thing that I haven't done is gene therapy. I considered it. I thought about doing the follistatin, clotho's coming down. I think it is going to be really exciting. I think the future of longevity, people will be going to their doctors and getting a tune-up on their gene therapies. Like, let's top off your follistatin, your clotho, and whatever else comes next. But for me, I just turned 34. I haven't had babies yet. I don't think it's the right time for me to do that. A lot of people in this industry are quite a bit older than I am. So I think once I'm done having children and, a little bit older in age, I'll try some of those things. But I'm very excited for the future of that as well.
As somebody who is on the cutting edge with all this and has experimented quite a bit, have you had any of these experiments really go south and be problematic?
I wouldn't say that anything has gone very south. Let me think about things that we've dialed back. I think I have adjusted my hyperbaric protocol because I used to want to just do it all the time. And more is not better with hyperbaric from what I've come to learn, specifically from Dr. Scott. That's why now I'm dropping down the pressure to not being at 2.0 ATA. Yes, it's great that the chamber can go to 2.0 ATA, but now I know that oxidative stress. So essentially what he was explaining to me is it can actually start working backwards and against you, doing it way too much at too high a pressure. So that's probably been one of my biggest learnings. But, I have tried to do things that have pretty good safety profiles, in my opinion. That's why I've kind of not done a few of the things that I think maybe could have potentially had the potential to end in a little bit of a different way. So nothing that I've done so far has been like disastrous in any way. But if I do, I'll be happy to share with people that that's one not to do.
Out of all the things you've done, what's been the biggest needle mover? I'm sure there's a lot of things, and
Yeah.
you're doing, I'm sure, a lot of things at once, so it can be hard to parse out what's causing what. But basically, given everything you've tried, what's had the biggest impact?
I think we just have to focus on the basics, like all of this stuff. So hyperbaric, peptides, NADIVs, stem cells, ozone saunas, ozone IVs, all these amazing things are great. And they can be used as really important tools to improve your health and improve your lifespan, I think. But by far, it's the basic stuff. It's the sleep, really high quality sleep. Crushing my Oura Ring sleep scores every night have been one of the biggest improvements, I think, for my health. And, working out. I think if there was one pill for longevity, it would be exercise. So many benefits to your biomarkers, to every single facet of life. So I think honestly, those two things and changing my, diet, upgrading my diet, I think has been the biggest movers. And the good thing is that we can talk about all these fun things and these really expensive modalities. But if you are listening to this and you just get great sleep, you exercise consistently, and you eat high quality food, and then maybe, let's say, get an air filter and get a water filter and, really prioritize social connections, and you feel loved, you're going to be healthier than 95% of people. And you're going to get like 90 to 95% of the way there in terms of health optimization just by mastering those basics. And stress reduction too, we're making sure that you can get into a parasympathetic state. That's a huge one because 80%, I believe, of doctor visits are because of stress. So I think if you master those basics and then maybe layer in some supplements and a couple other small things, I mean, you're going to be there and you don't have to spend $2 million a year or 6 figures a year or whatever it may be.
I totally agree with you. The foundation matters most. But if you had to add one biohack on top of that,
Yeah.
for somebody who's just jumping into this, what would you recommend?
Sauna, for sure, sauna. Because number one, the research really supports its benefits, but also our environment these days, we absolutely have to detox.
If you enjoyed that clip, you're going to want to head over here and catch the full episode. I'll see you over there.
I was taking about 35 supplements a day. This is the first time I've announced this, but I've been working on something for the last 2 years that has now been able to really condense that. I think of my supplements in different buckets. So I have what are called like non-negotiable supplements.